Welcome to Zeta Protocol, the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast that is 73% more suspicious than a free pack in your inbox and exactly one dev post away from a conspiracy board with red string and a slew of Jawa mugshots. I'm Egnards, joined by Pico, sitting by the window listening to Elliott Smith Burrito. And tonight, the galaxy flips the calendar over to a new age. The Era of Anniversaries has packed up its party hats and leftover cake, and we are stepping straight into the Era of Andor, where everything is morally gray and financially stressful. The celebration lights are off, the spreadsheets are back out, and the vibe has shifted from fireworks to quiet rebellions planned in the dimly lit basement of your mother's house. Meanwhile, the Sandpit Fight Club nobody's allowed to talk about just got a rulebook update, which of course means new strategies, new headaches, and at least one person in your guild feigning outrage over mechanics they don't understand. So tighten your loadouts, hide your signal data, and hit play before this era asks for identification, background checks, and 400 shock prods just enter the building. There we go. Welcome to Zeta Protocol. Mr. Pico Burrito, how are you doing tonight?
You know how hard it is to belly laugh but not make any noise because look, there's a lot of reasons why that Elliott Smith comment was funny, but the what a lot of people don't know about me is, man, I love me sad, depressing music. Like
There's
like
something
the
good about it.
the and this week I was doing some stuff for work, so I was a little bit of headphone and like at one point, like if anyone's ever listened to Wailing Jennies, they're this really cool band out of Canada, and they just sing these sad, like The Parting Glass, if you've ever heard it by by Sinead O'Connor,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
these sad, depressing things. And I love it so much. But I saw an Instagram video this week, and it was these two girls like in a dorm room, and the one like yelling at her friend like, "Hey, it's time to go out! It's time to go out!" And she grabs her headphone and pulls it off, and it's like the Cure. And she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm getting excited to go out tonight." And it was just like, well, does that work for you? So yeah, that hit home in a very key way. So
I think when it comes
uh,
to the intro, it's one of my favorite things to do is to kind of come up for a nickname. And at first, I kind of just went with like really easy things. And I think it was last week or the week before that I started with something really long and
yeah,
tedious. And I just was like, I'm going to keep going with this because they're funny. But every single week, so I have the three screens and I'm reading it on my front screen and I'm looking at you over here going, yep, I got him again. He's giggling in the corner. He's laughing. And this is actually the first time that I think I actually heard you. So I'm going to give myself props there.
it was great. It was awesome. Yeah, yeah. Elliot Smith will he can sad up a day like
It
anybody.
is.
So
It is a
it's
deep.
awesome.
Sometimes you just need to drive around with something sad
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
melancholy and you just have to drop your guard down and let out a couple of tears and it is worth it every once in a while to do. And for all of those youngins out there in the galaxy, Elliott Smith, Talking to Mary is a classic. Just,
Yeah.
just, just do the deep dive.
Uh, I once told my wife, and I know Ryan Adams has turned out Ryan, not Brian, but Ryan Adams has turned out to be a colossal pile of shit. But he wrote this album called Heartbreaker that is just crushingly amazing. And I told her once, there are times that I wish you would divorce me so that I could lay in my room with the lights off and listen to this and get the full impact. And like that look on of someone's face, just like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, no, that would just make me so happy.
There are some songs that I listen to now, and I know as I get older, I'm 38 now. I've become more sentimental. I was someone who never was. I didn't care about pictures. I didn't care about the past or anything. I didn't cry at movies, which now I cry so easily. I saw like Arthur the King, and I just started tearing. We Live in
Yeah.
Time. I bawled the entire movie. But there are some songs that still take me back, and I remember just like somebody dying or a
Yeah.
breakup, and it's still it's still there. You're not sad about the breakup anymore, but you still remember that sadness, and it kind of
Yeah,
oddly makes you feel nostalgic and happy at the same time. And it's a weird but
yeah,
kind of cool vibe to have.
yeah. No, it's a rainy day sad song. There's nothing better in the world, man. It'll just make you happy like you can't explain.
That and the
But
divorced dads rock on Spotify. I'm sure
yeah, yeah,
every streamer
yeah,
has it. I'm not shilling for
yeah,
Spotify. I actually just canceled my account, but it's
yeah,
those playlists that like bring you back to some nice times.
yeah, yep, absolutely.
Uh,
But enough, I
yeah.
guess, was sad rock. We've got game changes. We've
Oh my
got we've
God,
got updates.
we have so much, and I was telling you before. I had a whole plan. I did a video this morning on quality of life changes, and a bunch of people tagged me on Discord, and they're like, "Why aren't you releasing the same videos that everybody else is releasing on the Era?" One, because I march to the beat of my own drum. I want to do the things that I find interesting. I actually don't like doing the same thing as everybody else. But two, I realized I was talking to you tonight. What's the point? You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's us tonight. We're here. We're ready. We're ready to intelligently break it down or prop it up or whatever it is. And I'm always excited for that conversation.
yeah. I think it's important. Maybe let's talk about what we're not going to talk about
Okay.
tonight, because with everything that's in there,
Hmm.
we're not going to do kit breakdowns. Like,
No.
there's too many. They're too confusing. We also got a Datacron dump late. I don't think we're going to talk about Datacrons. Not
No.
that we really have a big Datacron talker, but we'll hit the new, the new era information. High level of the kits, like how they connect together, but don't expect us to go into detail about Kreia. I think that's her name.
Is
And
that
then
the
we got some
first one?
patch notes. Yeah, I don't know if she's the first one. She.
Let's see.
I'm trying to think of the name of the
Yeah,
Luthen.
Clea is the first one. She is the first one.
Leia.
And you're right. So originally our plan was to do one kit week per week and talk about just the kit. But I do, as I was driving home, I do feel like there is so much to unpack in the era itself and just the Coliseum aspect of it that we would be doing a disservice to it to kind of talk about that when there's so much more
Yeah,
that's more important than a kit read.
yeah, and again, we're gonna forget what those kits are in 2 weeks when they're
In
released anyway. Like,
Yeah.
look, I can't tell you what any of the kits do, and we've had them for 6 weeks or for 3 months of the existing characters. So yeah,
And it's hard with this specific era because we have six kits that aren't meant to work together, but they kind of work together, but they don't
yeah,
work together in the ways you want them to work together. So there's a lot of like specific character call outs, like Tarful is the leader or Afra is the leader. So it's very hard to understand these kits. Now, the kits
yeah,
for Andor, maybe throughout the era, we'll learn them better because they are intended to work with those characters. So hopefully that will be a positive change. But there are a lot of changes to Coliseum, and there's a lot of glaring omissions as well that I feel like I want to talk about. So I do think that that's going to take up a lot of time.
yeah, yeah.
So do we want to go right into the Era of Andor drop then?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
Okay.
That's what's gotten the people talking, as the kids say these days.
Now, I know that you did a summary of it. I saw that earlier when I was between
Yeah,
classes. Do we want to go off to summary? Do we want to read the original initial information? What would you prefer?
let's go through the original information. I have some strong opinions on this,
Okay.
and honestly, that might have been more of a joke between the two of us, because it was pretty pissy.
Well, the reason
Although
I
I know,
asked is, knowing what I know and reading it, I was like, I don't know if we can use this. Some of this is very
yeah,
editorialized, but I was trying to be nice.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So yeah, let's do it. I'll read through this. We'll go through, and I'll just read the whole thing, right? And then we can talk about it because it is what it is. And we'll skip around just the things that I don't really care about. Number one, reducing early era pressure. One of the loudest pieces of feedback was the crystal crunch at the start of an era. To address this, we are making the following changes. Lowered requirements. So for the first three marquees of the Andor era, the EL requirement for the final tier has been reduced from EL 70 to EL 55. Now, that is a marquee event thing for players who whale, right? That top EL level to get that last reward is now at EL 55. Requirements for the final 3 marquees will remain at EL 70, as players will have had more time to naturally accumulate materials by that stage. Smart store management. We are temporarily removing Tier 8 Era material bundles, EL 80 to 95, from the store until they are actually applicable. We want to ensure players don't accidentally overspend on materials they are currently gated from using due to Xeric ability module constraints. Number 2, Coliseum and strategic variety. We want the Coliseum to feel like a place where your roster growth is always a benefit. Power scaling. Summoned units will now scale based on your highest level era unit rather than your lowest. This ensures that when you unlock a new marquee at a low EL, your overall Coliseum power doesn't dip. Leader-based summons. To add a layer of strategy, the units you summon will now change based on your leader. A rebel leader will bring different reinforcements than an ISB leader, allowing for more tailored theory crafting. And then we have the actual summoned units. If it is a rebel, you'll have Pow, Saw, Cinta, and Vel. If the leader is ISB, summon the follow units: IPD, Krennic, KX, and Partagaz. Is that his name? Partagaz? I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's
Portillo's. Let's go with Portillo's, the fine
okay.
Italian beef out of Chicago.
Portillas. There we go. And it looks like those are for the, because it says all and 1 and 2 and 1. So it looks like some of these characters will summon in specific tiers only, which I think they do address later on. Summon units will be at the player's highest era level brought into the battle rather than the lowest. Tiers 5 to 8 will now summon units. So those are the characters that it says all on. Previously, only tiers 1 to 4 did. Hero abilities. These are currently being targeted for release during the middle of the era. More information to come as details are finalized. Era challenges. More ways to play will be introduced during the second era challenge, not during the first. We will be introducing a new 4-feat system for era challenges. Each challenge tier will now feature 4 distinct feats with escalating EL requirements. Clea's era challenge will have only the 1 feat per tier like we have now, but the other 5 will have 4 feats. The goal: this provides a reason to revisit challenges as your squads grow, giving everyone, especially free-to-play players, more opportunities to earn rewards and engage with the new units throughout the era. Number 4, a clear roadmap for Cassian Andor. To eliminate the moving goalpost feeling, we want to be upfront about the journey guide requirements from day 1. The requirements for Cassian Andor Undercover will be similar to the Maul event. Andor era Marquise, Clea, Vel, Cinta, Deidre, Major Partage. I don't know. I'm going to say it wrong every single time. KX security droid. Andor event tier 1 requires Marquise 1 to 5 at 4 stars. Clea at era level 45 unlocks Cassian at 4 stars. And as a note, on the event server, Meathead did say that tier 1 and 2 will retain lightspeed tokens for the Cassian event. So you'll get 2 lightspeed tokens, presumably for doing tier 1. Tier 2 requires Marquise 1 to 5 at 5 stars. Cinta and Vel at era level 55 upgrades Cassian to 5 stars. Tier 3 requires Marquise 1 to 6 at 6 stars. KX at era level 70 upgrades Cassian to 6 stars. Tier 4 requires Marquise 1 to 6 at 7 stars, and era level 85 upgrades Cassian to 7 stars. Remember that era materials scale exponentially towards the end of the 12-week cycle. The free track of the 3rd episode pass will contain significantly more EL currency to help bridge the gap to those final levels. Era battles. The squads you recruit during the Era of Andor are your ticket to the exclusive Era battles launching in the next cycle. Strengthening your team now ensures you're ready to secure high value resources when the battle begins. Our goal is to have 12 Era battles events run per era, alternating between on and off weeks throughout the cycle. There will be 2 different Era battles, each with different requirements. Now, I want to pause here because this is a confusing point with the current era that's coming out, and I don't want to talk about it just yet, but I just want you and people listening to go back to this point when we talk about it a little bit later. Um,
Yeah.
Transitions and legacy. Following the 10th anniversary pattern, units will move to shipments about 1 week after the era concludes, and units will move to nodes on a bi weekly cadence following that. Once the Era of Andor concludes, these units will receive dedicated squad based FDCs to provide extra strength in the legacy meta in GAC and TW. The era level conversion chart is below. It, from what I looked at, seems exactly the same as what it
Yeah.
was before. I think the only difference here is that they're showing the gear piece breakdown, and it seems that you do get some gear pieces if you're in between. So for players who are not getting them to relic levels, they might get 3 gear pieces versus moving to the next era level if they're somewhere in between. But we're not going to go over every level because there are 95 of them, and that sounds ridiculous to do. The Era system is a
That
living
is an important.
platform.
That
Yep.
is.
Okay.
I was gonna say that is an important thing to point out that like people need to probably
Yes.
want to go take a look at this because I actually had that question come up today about if you're level 70, do you get any gear pieces before the and it wasn't readily available looking at that chart. So
Yes.
if
So
it's
that
important.
is new. I don't know if that's going to be the same for the Era of Anniversary or not, but they're
Yeah.
providing this to us for Andor, and we did not have this provided to us for Era of Anniversary. I don't know if it will translate back end. We will see, and I do think it is important, but it would be insane for us to go over every level. And then the closing thoughts. The Era system is a living platform. While EL remains the primary driver of content mastery, these changes are designed to make the journey towards the end of Era feel more structured with less pressure. We look forward to your feedback on these changes as you progress through the Era. That's we other than that, we have kit reveals, we have update notes. We'll talk about that later. Era of Andor, Coliseum. Where do you want to start?
Um, let's start with the first point,
Okay.
uh, because this is one of these cases that I think it's important to start talking about what they said, what they didn't say, and what this really means.
Okay.
And the first is like I appreciate the the transparency of letting people know like hey we're gonna reduce the crystal cost because like early on that was a big challenge that was there. What they didn't say is we have heard the complaints and the
Hmm.
concerns about the additional cost to unlock journey guide characters.
Yeah.
They did not say we are going to address that problem. That issue still exists. And I, for the rest of the conversation tonight, I want to level set where my head is. When this was announced from CG and this directional change, we were told this was going to be good for the player because it's going to make resources more available, but effectively the game was not going to change.
Okay. Yep.
Now, there are some mechanical elements that have changed the way we acquire characters, but fundamentally, the largest change that has happened to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes at this point is that the covenant between players and CG, that if you are willing to spend money to get characters to 7 stars, you would have access to Journey Guide characters immediately without an additional investment.
Yeah.
That has fundamentally changed. That is, in my opinion, the biggest change that has happened with this 10-year anniversary piece that they no longer honor that covenant. That agreement between players and CG, it's not there because there is a mandatory spend from 70 to 85 to get Maul or to get the Journey Guide character at 7 stars and unlock.
Yes,
That's
and
broken.
and they've kind of obfuscated it right through the era leveling and saying,
Yes.
oh, well, you spend it a little bit here and you spend it a little bit there, and so you hopefully don't really understand the amount of money you're spending. I do think I said this to you last episode. From my understanding and looking at it based on the costs, you are more of a 1 week whale, right? You get the character, you move it up throughout
Yep.
the week, you get it to 7 stars. From my understanding and looking at the numbers, you are spending more money than you were before if you want your Journey
Yes.
Guide character, and that sucks. If you are a 1 day whale, you are spending less. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like the super mega whale is spending less, but like the kind of sort of whale is spending more. So previously, the 1 day whale was spending about $300 to $330 per character, and not having to spend any more. Now they're spending
Yeah.
$200 per character and then approximately $180 in era currency if they do it as efficiently as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
And they don't all do that. Some of them just go level 70 all the way, and then they spend way more than that. And it's kind of strange where they say, hey, you guys will be spending less, but then guys like Pico Burrito, fuck them, we hate them. You guys are going to be spending more. And it is frustrating.
Look, I understand. And someone actually in ODB made a comment today that, well, we're technically spending less than what we were 18 months ago.
Mhm.
I don't like that's not a statement that I'm going to accept because
Oh, you're
throwing
not.
a piece of cheese on a
Yeah.
but no, but throwing a piece of cheese on a shit sandwich is still eating a shit sandwich.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's a like this is the I made it better for you, but it's still worse. It's the
I,
Jerry
I
Garcia, the
really
lesser of two evils, is still evil.
I really hate quoting. It's not quoting, it's paraphrasing. I really hate
Yeah.
paraphrasing Joe Rogan, but I'm going to say that this is Joe Rogan back in his comedian era before he was some kind of crazy political figure. He always had those thoughts, right? But when he was the UFC guy that really hated Joe Goldstein, like staring at him and being right in his face. And one of his jokes was like, if I gave you a sandwich that was 99% beef and 1% shit, you're not going to eat that sandwich, because
Yeah.
there's shit in that
Yeah.
sandwich. And it's not political, and it was very funny, right? I can admit when he's being funny, even if I think he's a piece of shit. I completely understand that point. I will say that from the unique perspective of somebody who is literally gifted all of these characters from someone else, but who did have to do the actual purchases, it was a pain in the ass. Um, because I had to go in, instead of just buying character shards, I now had to go in and spend like
Yeah.
little incremental charges. And I was like, all right, buy this 12 times, buy this 6 times, buy this 4 times. It was a pain in the ass, and my email blew up and I had 50 emails. And I was like, this is
Yep.
so fucking dumb. I don't care if it's not my money. It's not my money. Someone else is paying for this, but this is so dumb. It's so annoying. It's needlessly obfuscating what is going on for no reason.
Well, and again, when you broadly look at this market in these style of games, one of the and I'll say more in the Asian market where these games. I mean,
Hmm.
if you look at the list of like top 50 gotcha games, like
It's in
Galaxy
the
of
Asian
Heroes is one
markets.
of them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in Asian markets, and one of the kind of go-to strategies that they use in those games are they have very complex currency systems and the
Hmm.
currency pieces don't align, so you're always like just a little bit short over here or you've got too much over there,
Yeah.
and that's like when you have to say we're removing this currency from the store because we're making it so confusing for you that you're buying things that you can't use yet. Like that's a problem.
Yeah.
uh, I I put this but in my kind of joke patch notes, and but there was an editorial like CG had a chance to solve this problem.
Hmm.
This could have started in this section to say, we heard you. All right. We are moving the cost. Here's how you solve the problem for the community. We are moving the cost for leveling. We're removing that. All right. So we want, if you are willing to buy characters to 7-star in that 1 week window, you're going to be able to unlock this thing without
Yeah.
any additional cost. We're going to wipe out the cost structure that's there for 85 to 95 because it's stupid. It's $200 a character to get those last 10 levels. And we're going to move the money that it takes to get from 70 to 85. We're going to change that and we're going to normalize that across those last 10 levels. Our
Yeah.
hope is that by making 85 to 95 more cost effective, that we will have players that will continue to invest the way that they have. Thank you very much, players. We really appreciate that. And we're hoping that maybe we'll see more characters or more players go to the Relic Sig. Instead, it was, we're just going to make it so you can't throw as much money at the wall because we make it so confusing you don't know when to stop. Like that's what this has turned into.
And it's not even really, it's kind of it's less, you don't know when it's more like you're so confused that you're buying things you can't use yet.
Yes.
You're gonna. We want you to spend the same amount of money, but we wanted to spend it. We wanted to spend it later so that you're not mad when you can't actually use it now, right?
Yeah.
And I saw some guys on the event server. They were talking, some like big whales in Maw, who were talking about their spend, and they were saying bringing their characters to level 95, their whole era spend. Now, if you did the eras at their absolute most efficient, you were spending about $800 to $900. That's if you did it on the lowest spend possible. And these guys were saying to get to level 95, they were spending up to $2,500, which is insane. And this is what you were kind of saying last time we did an episode. Level 85 to 95 to get from like Relic 3 to Relic 6, it's cheaper to just buy the fucking Relic materials. Just wait till after the era. Can we all, like in the fleet shards where we all agree to like not set a shitty fleet so that everybody can climb? Can we just all agree we stay at level 85, you get your Zetas, and then everybody just uses their Relic materials after that because it's cheaper for everybody to do it that way? Which is not right. But now I do have a question for you because I guess it has to do with the idea of the shadow thought here, or what do they call them? Dark patterns, black patterns. I don't know. If CG came out and said, hey, for you, Pico Burrito, I don't know the exact number, but let's say it costs $130 to get a character to 7 stars. We need to increase our costs to $145 now. Not through multiple things, not through spending 80 different times and having to go through the circus and spin a wheel, but just look, we got to raise our prices 10%. Would you have been possibly more receptive to that?
So you're missing a piece of that because this is an important piece, and I don't want to get too far into the era battle piece, but the other side effect of what has happened through this, it's not that it cost me more money to get a journey guide character. They have actually removed resources out of the packs that I had historically been buying to get these characters up. They removed things like Omicrons are not in the $30 pack anymore. They've removed some of the salvage material that were inside of those. We'll talk about this in the era battle, but now taking a character to 7 stars does not grant you the highest level of resources in the era, in the upcoming era battle. So
well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean is like, let's say it's the same as before. They said it's the same as before. Fuck Coliseum. But hey, we got to raise our prices 10%. Would you have been more receptive than them doing all this song and dance and like changing things?
If they would have been transparent and told me what that cost increase would have been, absolutely. The problem here is, and I sent this to you earlier in the day. The problem is not that they changed it, is that they omitted details about the change. They told me this was better for me, omitted details, and then still haven't pointed out that they've made these changes. Like this is like looking at this, like it's a very well written post. There's 5 points. These are 5 things that we're doing. It's not a good look when point 1 is talking about spend. That doesn't directly address spend. We don't talk about gameplay in the beginning. We talk about we're reducing the number of crystals you have to spend to be good. Come on, man. Come on.
Yes. And I will say I agree. I was very excited when I was gifted all these characters because like, oh great, I get to buy these packs and I get all these great materials. And all I got was fully crafted Kyrotex. And I was like, well, these are useless to me. I can't scavenge them. I can't deconstruct them. I have no characters that need them now. This is completely useless. And I know I didn't technically spend money on them, but I was excited for all of these Zeta materials, Omicron materials that I've seen in the past. And I was like, this is kind of underwhelming compared to what I've
Yeah.
seen in the past.
Right.
So I do agree with you in that regard. And I think it sucks that they've kind of given us this system that's kind of veiled, and you have to like figure it out, and we have to math it out again, and we thought we had the game figured out. And I've always
Yeah.
been somebody that did the math for people and said, yes, spend smart and do it. And now I'm like, I got to do it all over again, but now it's not A to B, it's A to B to C, back to B to
Yeah.
D. But what if it's E, and then, choose your own adventure book, let's go to page 69. I don't know. I don't have the answers anymore because it's just confusing.
Uh, and, and look, I think we beat that point up, but I think
Hmm.
moving into Coliseum, look, one of the things that CG nailed coming into this is their hope was the introduction of the Coliseum was not going to drastically increase the amount of time players felt the need to stay in the game.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true because the Coliseum has completely turned into one auto battle a day, and your placement in the ranking is effectively tied to how much money you've spent on era levels. Like it's great that they're putting this in place that I don't, if you what is it? Cinta needs to be I'm sorry, Clea needs to be level 45 to
Hmm.
unlock Mullet at 45. I will tell you that if you've got Clea at 45, and that's the highest level character that you have on your roster by the time week 4 rolls around or week 5 rolls around, you're in the 500s.
Yeah.
If you're not, you would have needed to have moved your entire roster to 65. So the Coliseum, God, it pains me to say this. The Coliseum has turned into a pay to win
Hmm.
environment. You're again, just give me a box to buy the R10 material if that's
Yeah.
what you want it to be, as opposed to making me manage all of these different currencies.
Yeah. So I agree on some respects and I disagree in other respects.
Yeah.
I think some people thought, and I did for a while, like, because you see like your high score and it's very misleading. And your high score is not actually your score that you get, right? If you do an auto battle, it just says that's your high score from like whatever your highest
Yeah.
is on a boss. But whatever you do on that boss, that next week is whatever your score is. And what I've noticed in these later era battles, having all level 85 characters, is I'll go into like Guards and it'll say, hey, your high score is 3 million. Okay, great. And I'll do 5 battles and I'll get with the same exact team and understanding the strategy and understanding that I know I have to move the damage around and I have to not scale things. One battle I'll get 1.2 million, then I'll get 2.4 million, then I'll get 1.8 million, and I'll never get near my high score that I got last week because I just got lucky because a purge hit at the right time or there was a dodge at the
Yeah.
right time. And now I'm frustrated because I can't get my score from before when my characters were 4 era levels lower because I just didn't get the right RNG, and I don't want to spend $1.50 to roll it again to play
Yeah.
5 more battles to not guarantee it. And that was very frustrating to me, and it's still very frustrating to me. And it looks like it's going to continue to be very frustrating to me because from the data mine, it seems like we're just playing the same 4 bosses again.
I knew that was going to be the case. I was going to ask if anyone looked into that, and it's look,
I don't think it's confirmed, but
and
it seems like that's the case.
and I'm not gonna. I'm actually not gonna pick on CG about this because creating 4 new mini raid characters every 3 months, it's an undertaking. Um, I think there were a lot of people that thought that we weren't going to have that, but like, look, the 10th anniversary, and we've talked about this. The 10th anniversary teams were confusing because somebody gives out Jedi Mastery, and we got a bunch of non Jedi's on that team.
Hmm.
So who knows how these kits are going to work? And I like the idea of borrowed units, but this does not address theory crafting for a couple of reasons. First, mods don't come into play, so we don't know what. I mean, look at the stranger. We've gone back and forth. It's like, is it fast? Is it healthy? Like, there's no way to modify the stat structure on these characters. We're stuck with whatever CG is putting behind the scenes.
Hmm.
The second, let's look at the team that they're running out there for the light side. Pow, Saw, Cinta, and Vel. Now, if
Yeah.
you go in the character kits and you read the character kits, the suggested team or the expected team for those characters is going to be New Cassian, Cinta, Vel, Playa, and Luthen.
Yeah.
So, how do I understand the team that this is supposed to interact with if I don't have access to the team that this is supposed to interact with?
Hmm.
Like I appreciate, I understand how other rebels will work with rebels, but this is not the answer. I want the option to try the things that I want to try. This is
Yes,
the
with the team.
problem with this Coliseum era. Yes.
And it
Yes.
would actually help to get you excited because in the later era levels, right, in week 4, week 5, whatever it is, you'll have those characters to try. But why can't I experiment with them at lower levels? Why can't I
Yeah.
play with them? Shouldn't I be learning how those things interact? That was one of the big criticisms with the Era of Anniversaries, is that we don't understand how things interact when these characters don't make sense together. And they gave us that chance to do that. Now, I'm never going to use these characters with Saw. I'm never going to use them with Pow. Probably not, at least.
Yeah.
Once this era is over, they're just kind of like these filler characters that I'm using for the sake of using. With the Coliseum, obviously we don't know what hero abilities are right now. There are a couple things that I'm also very disappointed by, and you can agree, disagree, you can yell at me, you can tell me that there are other things in this list. Um, Number one, I have been a big proponent of the fact that if you don't whale, but if you spend, you end up getting stuck for 2 weeks at one level. So
Mhm.
you end up, let's say, at level 20, and then you hit your max and you just can't progress any further for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There's been no addressing of that. It's not fun. It's not interesting. And even though you're ahead of the free to play player, it feels like you're falling behind because that character and that player is making incremental progress and you're not
Yeah.
making incremental progress. I've been a big proponent of having a one-off challenge, right? So your one-off reward, but then also having a daily reward, so that at least I can like, hey, I got this boss again that I already battled,
Yeah.
but I get him, I get something, I can incrementally move ahead. It's really annoying to me that we don't have that. That's
Yeah.
number one. Number two, I understand that there is this era shard that goes from like 1,000 currency down to 10 currency. I honestly, really, truly believe that there should be a per tier, just like in Kyber, just like in GAC, a per tier minimum that you also get. If you're in tier 1, you get 10 for being at the lowest plus 10, right? 10 is your tier 1 reward. If you're at tier 8, you get whatever it is plus 100. So even if your entire shard is filled with whales, you're at least getting something incrementally
Yeah.
better. It feels better. And honestly, CG, it's not a lot. I'm not asking for a lot here. I'm asking just make it feel like I've progressed and I've moved along. When it comes to the bosses, you're right, man. I did not expect 4 new bosses. I know it's hard to come up with 4 new bosses. I would have loved one. Give me 3 old bosses and 1 new
Yeah.
boss. Next era, now I have 2 of the first boss, 1 of the Andor boss, 1 of a new boss. And in a year, we have 8 bosses that we can
Yeah.
rotate between and we can mix and match them. We can make it like a summer thing versus a winter thing. We could pair our colors. I don't know.
Community vote. Hey, we've got access to 8 bosses. What 4 do you want for the next
What do you
era?
want? Like these are fun. These are interesting. Let's have fun with it. Let's enjoy it. Like I'm frustrated that it is 4 of the same. And the thing that pisses me off the most, and it really pisses me off, and it actually annoys me because I tried to get all of the content creators together to do this. and give me a 15 to 30-second clip of them saying this and stringing it all together in a 10-minute video. And some of them did. I got about 6 videos and I really wanted like 20. But just the fact that there are levels where you get nothing feels bad. And when it's
Yes.
one level, when it's 70 is something, 71 is nothing, 72 is something, not a big deal, but it feels bad. But right now, my mall is at level 80. I have 3 levels ups that I can do for him, but all 3 of them do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't I I have no incentive to buy the pack because I have every Zeta in the game. I don't care about the Zetas. It's just
Yeah.
stupid to me that there are 4 levels in a row that do nothing for me. Make the increments smaller. I don't care. It just
Yeah.
feels so terrible that there is no incremental progress in between those levels.
So I agree with everything you said. The hero abilities has me concerned.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is I would have hoped that CG learned a lesson, not their lesson, because their lesson. You say you hope that someone learned their lesson. It feels like you're talking to a child.
Yeah.
I was hoping that CG learned a lesson that not providing
Info.
full visibility into a change that happens in the middle, and when that is a deviation that has requirements associated with it,
Yeah.
the community will not react well to that. If they're going to put these hero abilities in and they're going to come in and they're going to be like, look, man, we're just going to give you these things and they're going to just do something different. They just weren't ready. That's okay. But if this comes in and there is a, God forbid, star requirement to use these, and you
God.
have players that stopped at 4 stars as opposed to going to 5 stars, shit's going to hit the fan. If there is an era level requirement that's associated with this and people aren't planning for it and now they feel that they want to take advantage of this, or they materially provided advantage in this game mode and now people have to go back and spend resources or money to use these, that's not fair. I hate the not fair thing, but that's not fair to the community.
Yeah.
You are asking people to make decisions without information.
Yes.
That's not fair.
Yeah. I a
I'm
hundred
getting
percent.
pissy tonight.
Don't get pissy. I'm gonna have some whiskey for you. Um, I went into my fridge before we filmed, and I was like, "Fuck, I have no beer." Um, I understand that. That's always been my thing with CG, and some people understand, some people don't. Some people call me a shill. Some people say that I'm too mean. Nobody says that I'm in between for some weird reason. And all of my members on Discord want to have sex with me, which is weird because I'm married and they're all men, and I'm totally cool with that. But again, I'm married. But anyway, with that said,
Not
I've
hang on, not that you're not down for it. You're just married. Like
I'm just
you're just
married.
you're not gonna cheat. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not. I don't judge in that way, and I have plenty of stories
yes.
in that regard. But I'm married happily. Um, but with all of that said, my big proponent always has been communication. I have just stressed communication. As long as I have information in my hand and I can make an informed choice, I'm not necessarily happy, but I'm not mad.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a distinct
Yes.
difference. As long as I can make a willful choice and say, this is the information I have, I'm happy. It pissed me off mid era last time when they said, by the way, we're pulling out the rug. You have to do this additional thing. And I didn't even expect to get Maul at 7 stars. And it
Yeah.
pissed me off
Yeah.
for those
Yeah.
players. Give me the information. And CG, please, Meathead, CG Screwdriver, I know you listen to, I know you do. You've told me you do. Please, I promise you, I can keep a secret. I will talk to you and I will communicate with you and I will ask the questions that the community will ask so that you know what information has to be provided.
Yeah.
Please, please do it. Please. Because I'm not on your side. I'm not on the player basis side. I'm on the game side. right? Like I love the game, I enjoy the game, I enjoy the community. I want the game to survive, but I want it to survive in an organic way that works for everybody involved. And in that way, I feel like I am fair. And I just want to be able to ask those questions and understand those questions and understand what the community is going to ask and have them prepared for that.
And to that point, if we look at point 3 and around this era challenges, the question that I am left looking at this,
Okay.
will I have the ability to go back and do previous era challenges as my roster increases? It's implied that you can. Like the way that I read this is that if you don't have the era levels when it comes around, the week in between Val and Cinta, that you'll be able to come back and do that. But that has to be part of the story. Like if you're going to put these era challenges in, you're going to put 4 feats and you're going to like one's going to require 45, one's going to require 55, one's going to require 65, one's going to require 75. Don't either allow me to go back and do it at the end of week 12 when I have all of those characters leveled up. But if your plan is I'm going to give you one shot at this for a week and I'm going to hard gate it behind spending money to get levels, fuck off, man.
So
I'm sorry.
I'm torn here. I don't think that it's going to be that way. I think it's going to be like it is now, where you do one era challenge for each character. I think that that's the way it's going to be. I'm not sure. I have no knowledge.
Yeah.
But just based off of what it says here, because the first one's only going to have 1 feat, but because each of there's tiers and feats, right? So there's 4 feats, but there's also tiers, and the tiers have to do with the era level. So I have a feeling era level is not going to come into that. My 2 thoughts are there's probably going to be something like a cheese feat that's like, if you have the era pass, you win. I feel like that's going to be one of them. And that's a give me for a lot of players because the era pass is a great value. But at the same time, I'm also excited for content creators like Bit Dynasty because he got fucked hard in this change, and not a good kind of fucked. The kind of fucked where YouTube is going to tell me that we can't run ads on this video, so I can't make $3 on it. But like really, really fucked. Like no lube, just fucked. Because half of his content was providing GC content, and I hated Galactic Challenges. I hated them so much. But when they took that away, they took away so much of what he provides to the community. And it's just not fair for someone. He's probably the most pure content creator in this space. The most pure. He comes on, he's like, hello, table heroes. I can't do an impression of him, but he's the nicest, friendliest guy, and he got reamed so hard by the reduction of this thing, and now it's like, oh, just do the battle, and if you have the era level, you're good. I have a feeling it's going to be something stupid like Cassian does Undermine, and now you have to do Undermine 30 times in this battle. Now I have to spend 30 minutes doing this thing? I hope not. I really hope not.
So right now the era challenges are go in, select the highest level, hit auto, and magically things
And just win.
It's not even worth the time. But real quick on Bit Dynasty, because I love this. And this is not a knock on him whatsoever. But like sometimes success is it's not just being good at what you do, but it's like strange opportunities. He does not become the content creator that he is if he lives in California.
Yeah.
Like what like the weird quirk for him that has worked out is because he's in Europe and he gets access to the Galactic Challenges so early that when I wake up in the morning on the East Coast, it's there, and that's
You're
where
already
I
there.
gravitate to go
Yeah.
that side. So like Bit Dynasty, like going like, bro, here's the Bit Dynasty, hello, how table heroes, like we're gonna surf. It's like that doesn't exist if he's on that side of the globe. Good for him, man. But yeah.
It is. Look, it's true. But one, he's the nicest guy. I've talked to him. I've had conversations with him.
Phenomenal.
We had this conversation on Discord today, and we were talking about content creators that give shitty takes. And I was joking, and I was like, you know who doesn't give shitty takes? And the expected answer was, for me to say me. Uh,
Yeah.
and I kind of put in spoiler tags under that, like, no, I'm serious. Like, give me an answer, because I don't know. And everybody, Bit Dynasty, Bit Dynasty, Bit Dynasty, Bit Dynasty. And he just got so screwed with these changes because there's so much less that he can do with the type of content he provided for the community. And
Yeah.
it's just sad to me. It is so goddamn sad to me. And I'm hoping this gives him something that he can do, but I have a feeling that it's just going to increase my time with a game mode that I hated when it was Galactic Challenges, and I'm not going to like it any more than it is now. And I have a feeling that right now, as a whale, you get roughly, I don't know, like 2,000 or so era currency total, 1,500 to
Yeah.
2,000. I have a feeling that they're just going to spread that out more. So it'll be more, but not that much. So maybe it'll be like 2,750 total,
Yeah.
but you're going to have to do so much more work for it. And I'm not looking forward to it.
So, man, we are loving all these changes. Uh, so the roadmap for Cassian,
Okay.
before we get to the last piece, as I was reading through this, I'm like, these are actually good changes. Real quick, I do want to say I do like the idea of summon units. As I'm
Okay.
reading through this, the Cassian requirements or the roadmap, um, I was like, hey, this is great. This is giving people one, it's reducing the requirements people need. It's making it clear what you need to target for. So
Hmm.
I know that look, if I do want to spend some money, I just need to get Clay to 45 during her week and then just kind of hang out, for the other piece. And then we got to the end and I got
Hmm.
excited. We're bringing back era battles
Yes.
because I have been frustrated over the last 12 weeks and it's back to the resources coming into the game for me have been reduced because we don't have an active cycle era battle. We have a secondary era battle cycle, which was one pirate run a week. We should get two in a middle, two in a middle, two in a
Yeah.
middle.
And I think Pirates is over now,
We
right?
lost.
Because it should have been today.
Pirates is over. Yeah,
Okay.
pirates are
Yeah.
over. And I was excited about this. And then the announcement came out today
Yep.
that the requirement for era battles moving forward is, at least for the first set, is the journey guide character Maul has to be relic 10
Yes. For tier 8. Correct. And
for tier 8, which is the only tier that guarantees brains uh and keypads.
yes. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition this from um,
Yeah.
this here, and I'm going to transition it to my game screen, and we're going to make an assumption here, okay? And the assumption that we're going to make is that this is going to be the same. Oh, I got my daily fleet rewards. Nice. That this is going to be same for Era of Andor as it is for Era of Anniversary, so that people can kind of see these tiers. And what you're referring to is that at tier 8, you need Hate Fueled Maul at Relic 10 and all other playable characters at Relic 9. And that's 3 characters because it's split in 2.
Yeah.
So 3 dark side characters for the first, 3 light side characters for the last, or however it works out, right? That's the assumption that Andor is going to be the same. But
Yep.
continue, we have the tiers, yes.
So initially my initial reaction was like, oh, that's not that bad. Like Maul to relic 10. I was frustrated because again it was another case that I was going to move all my characters to relic 9 because on the off chance they brought an era battle, they slightly raised the requirement. But this got me
Hmm.
thinking that no. It used to be if I took a character to 6 stars on day one and ran it through the week,
Hmm.
again, the agreement that CG and I had is that if I do this at the end of this era, I will have 12 events where I reap rewards to replenish what I put into that character.
Yes.
That is no longer the case. In order to earn the same number of resources, I have to spend more money.
Okay.
Because I have to now pay to go from 70 to 85 on a character to get Maul up to 10. I have to like because again, the good rewards, the guaranteed rewards, which is what was at the last tier in the previous era
Yes.
battles, that requires an R10 mall, and the only way to get an R10 mall is to get all of the characters to relic or to get them to 7 stars in level 85 to unlock mall at that level.
But you don't need Maul at 85.
I'm sorry, excuse
You
me.
need the other
You need
6 at
mall at
85.
you need mall at
Yes.
7. You can't get to relic 85, or you can't get to relic 10 without a 7-star character. So yes, you don't need Maul at 85. That's
But you need
fair.
the
But
others. Yes, you need the others.
you need everyone, and
Correct.
you have to buy them from 70 to 85.
Correct. So
That
your 6 marquees do need to be at 85. Maul does not need to be at 85.
yes, correct.
Yes.
But I have to buy them up to that level. I have to
Correct.
spend additional money to get to that level. That's again, they're asking me to spend more, and they're removing value out of what I've spent already.
Yeah, both. We had this discussion a little bit right before we
Yeah,
recorded.
yeah,
And it's one of those things where I anytime I record with somebody, I'm like, can we just shut up because we're just going to be doing 2
yeah,
podcast
yeah.
episodes, one live and one not. Um, I have to think of this from 2 different levels. One from the whale that I'm not because I do have
Yep,
these characters now, and 2 from where I would be if I were doing this era as I normally would have been doing this era. Um, this era battle is a little different, obviously. Tier 1 normally is shards. Tier 2 normally is shards. Tier
yep,
3 normally is something else.
yep,
Tier 1 here is Omega materials and shards. Tier 2 is Omega materials and shards. And those Omega materials seem like shit, but like there are a lot of newer whales that do really
yep.
still need those Omegas.
No, no, no. Yeah,
Tier 3, which is a 4-star mall, is going to give you shards still. Armatech salvage, which is relic salvage for me. Some Gear 12 salvage, which is useless to me. Some Kyrotech salvage, which is, I mean, that's droid brains. I would probably normally end at tier 4, 5-star hate
yep,
fueled mall. I'd get fragmented signal data. Fine, not as important in this new age. 100 carbonate circuit boards. I have 4,000 of them. 5 Zeta materials. Very important to some players. I, as of last week, have every Zeta in the game. That's a new thing for me. I'm excited for it. I don't need it, but I get it. Or incomplete signal data, bronzium wiring, which I also have 4,000 of. It's not important anymore. And those 5 signal data. That's where I would normally end. When I first saw this as a accidental whale, I was actually very excited about this.
sure.
I saw tier 8 and I said, fuck. I literally in my members area, in my general chat, to Fat Phil, to Avant, I had this conversation with 6 different people and I said, fuck, I'm taking every era character to Relic 9 and
Mhm.
Maul to Relic 10. I'm doing it. It's happening. I was a little annoyed because yesterday I took 8 characters. I took 6 characters to Relic 8. Because I talk about relic level parity, and I kind of figured like I have so much relic 8 material, but not a lot of relic 9 material. So let me burn these relic 8s because it's kind of useless to me for
Yeah,
relic delta reasons
yep.
for GAC. So I'm a little annoyed because I'm a little low on material now, and that was my own fault. I should have known this was coming. Um, that's what they get for releasing this right after GAC lock. But I said to myself, tier 8 is 1 relic 10 and 3 relic 9s. That is 60 for the relic 9s. That is 60 gear to keypads. That is 60 droid brains. For the relic 10, that makes it technically 80 gear to keypads, 80 droid brains, and 20 coaxial servo motors. And then, of course, there's a second arrow battle after that. For me, I thought to myself, hey, what I am getting back if I do this on the first event, and there are 12 events of this, I am getting back 60 keypads,
Yep.
60 droid brains, 12 times 5, I'm getting 60 coaxial servo motors, and I'm getting 12,000 crystals. So I'm actually getting more. And now we think about Relic 9 materials, but I'm also getting Relic 9 materials in the Tier 7 set. 5 to 10 keypads
Yeah.
or 5 to 10 droid brains, right? So even if I think about the bottom end, I am getting 5 times 12 is another 60 there. 30 if we think about all of them, right?
Yep.
30 keypads, 30 droid brains, 30 Omicrons, 5 times 12, 6,000 crystals. Between tier 7 and tier 8, I am making back all of my materials except for corrupted signal data, and I'm getting 18,000 crystals. But I'm also getting from tier 6 and tier 5 more crystals on top of that, right? So tier 6, 12 times 3, I can't do the math. 12 times 3, 3,600 crystals. 12 times 2, 2,400 crystals. I'm looking at 18, 19, 20, 21, about 25,000 crystals. The way that I see it is that if I spend 25,000 crystals between now and next week, I get all of these Relic 8s, 9s, and
Yeah.
10s for free. That's how I see it. And that to me is kind of awesome.
Yeah. Look, that was why I was such a big fan of the Era Assault battles previous to this. And there's so a little bit on maybe what they used to look like as opposed to what they look like now. And I can't remember if there
Mm-hmm.
were 7 tiers or 8 tiers,
I think
but
there's 7, but yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
in the previous system, the final tier for the first 3 up like through Jedi Master Mace, for the first 3, you were guaranteed 5 keypads, 5 brains, 5 Omicrons. Guaranteed, you would get 5.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be 15 in there and 2,000 crystals. And
Yes.
there are a lot of people, the crystals was the big piece around it.
For any era battle
So,
that had a journey or GL, yes, because the for example, like the bounty hunter one doesn't have it.
but Vader did. Like the Vader event and whoever came after Vader, the crystals were there, and then they disappeared. They disappeared. It wasn't in the grand scheme of things. I don't think people got that because the Vader one ran enough times that you got a
What
bunch of stuff coming out of
what
it. And
Vader
I
one?
am
I'm confused.
the clone
Okay.
event.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
clone one
Sorry,
didn't
clone.
get it,
Yeah,
but the other one after that, because the clone one didn't have the 2,000 crystals, but it did have the
I thought
R9
it did.
materials.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but the
Okay.
JV one did have crystals. Yes.
So the effectively what we got with that. And again, it was the same thing. Like I think it was like for 3 characters they ran an assault battle, and 3 characters they got an assault battle. So we're
Mm-hmm.
we're effectively getting the same thing that too. If you spent $780 on characters,
Mm-hmm.
you were going to be guaranteed what you just laid out. Effectively, it's 60 of those R9 materials, for each one for each. So ends up being 120. And it does it pays for the characters that you need to run through that.
Yeah.
Where my frustration right now is, yes, in theory, if you take a character all the way up to tier 8, and it's a minor inconvenience, I think, to go to Relic 10.
Mm-hmm.
One, you're
Can
not
I pause you for
guaranteed
a second?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
because we speak of Relic 10. Um, I have the first fully Relic 10 Gungan team. And that's it.
Good
That's
for
all I
you.
want to say. I don't know
Good
if I
for you.
said that to
Yeah,
you last week, but that's
yeah.
it. You can continue your
You're
point.
you're you're waiting on what? So it was spend this amount
Mm-hmm.
and you will get these resources.
Yeah.
Fair trade-off as far as I'm concerned. For me, that was it. The money spent got a character to 6 stars, and it brought all of these resources in. What is now in place is that just to get back to where I was with a risk factor because tier 7, you may or may not get brains. You may or may not, you'll get brains or keypads. Not only do you have to spend that $780, you have to spend leveling material
Yes.
to the tune of probably $40 a character. I think is about right.
It's
We'll call it between
let's
20 and
see.
$40 a character.
I think I saw that it was, and I can't do math right now because I've been drinking whiskey, so I'm going to use my calculator. But I think I saw that it was $180. Again, we're talking about most efficient. A lot of the whales
Yeah.
have not been most efficient because they want to be on top of their Coliseum. But if we're talking about
Yeah.
most efficient, I think I saw the number was $180. So $180 divided by 6, not 60, is about $30 per character extra. Yes.
So $30 per character extra. There's 6 characters. That's $240. Do I have that right? No, that's not correct.
Well,
That's
it's what your spend would
uh
be because for a mega whale, that $200 spend is actually less.
yeah,
So they're
yeah,
spending about
yeah,
$230 per character, and that's less than what they were spending before. But for you, it's about $30 more
yeah.
than what you were spending before.
So so it's about 100. I've got to spend an additional $180.
Yep.
Those 2,000 crystals
Hmm.
are roughly, we'll call that roughly $20. So I'm having to spend, we'll say $60 additional to get those resources
Yeah.
that I used to be getting for just getting characters 7 stars. They have increased the cost of getting a character to 7 stars and being able to unlock a journey guide character. They
Hmm.
have decreased the amount of material available to me unless I'm willing to spend at a higher
Hmm.
level. That and they're telling me that this is to my benefit.
Okay.
It's not like it's that is my frustration is that to get back to where I used to be, it's another case that I have to spend more.
Okay.
By the way, they also removed an entire 3-month window of getting these resources from me through this
Yes.
process.
That pause was incredible. When we
Yes.
were getting error battles, I loved it. It was
Yep.
really really nice. I thought it was great. I do want to pause this discussion just a little bit. Not pause. Add slight context. And the slight context I want to add is that when we look at these tiers, we just see entry requirements as hate fuel mall. And I had a conversation with Meathead today. I messaged him. I asked him a question. I said, "Hey, the entry requirements are just for Maul. They're not for the other characters. And normally I would just assume it's the same relic level. But at tier 8, it's relic level 10 for Mute Maul and relic level 9 for everyone else.
Yeah.
So what's up?" And I asked about the cadence. And about 3 hours went by and he didn't answer me. So I sent him a voice note to the tune of Dawson's Creek. And I don't remember the exact wording, but it went something like, "I don't want to wait for Meathead to answer me." And I did the whole chorus, and I did get an answer back. And he did check, and he did say that this information was shareable, and it just adds context. It may not change your answer. But what he told me was that he has confirmed that the cadence is exactly the same as it used to be, which is 12 events per
Yep.
era battle, 4x2, 4x1. Um, which kind of looks weird with the Cassian one because it says 12 events in a cycle.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Cassian's different, but at least for Hate Fuel Mall. And then he also said that from tier 3 to tier 7, as long as Maul is at the correct era level, the other characters apparently can go into the battle regardless of their relic, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll beat that level. So that might give someone like Scribe or Bit Dynasty the ability to say, "Hey, you need to bring, I don't know, Asajj to 9, but everyone else can be level 5." To find the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that it's good or bad for what you're saying. It's just to provide context that wasn't provided to the community, that I begged, I pleaded, I asked for, and he did confirm and say it was shareable, and I want to provide that to the community.
And look, people will absolutely figure out a way, if that's the case, to do it with the least amount of resources spent, so they can dump those in a different direction. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, I will. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. to get the same thing that I used to get, I'm
I
having to
agree.
spend more money.
Now, I want you to, can I reframe that for you?
Yeah,
Okay. So this is how I think of things. Now, I looked at your materials today because you showed me the materials that you have on hand.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, fuck you, Pico Burrito. I fucking hate you. God, there are so many F bombs. There's going to be more F bombs in this than South Park, Bigger, whatever the name of the movie was called,
Yeah.
Bigger, Darker, Uncut, whatever it is. I was looking at your materials and I was like, what the fuck? He is so close to this. So, for someone like you, for example, you have the ability, I think, next week to get to this era battle, the tier 8 era battle, um, at almost no cost to you, depending on your raid, maybe a couple thousand crystals, nothing big deal. Not you could throw that easily. Your
Yeah.
costs didn't look too big. You're gonna get about 25,000 crystals during that time.
Hmm.
Okay. And then the next era battle is going to come back, but you're going to get all of the materials during that time to get the next era material characters to their level. So you're going to get about 50,000 crystals. Somebody like you could take those 50,000 crystals and say, actually, for two of these marquees, I don't want to spend any money at all. I want to
Yeah.
spend 23,000 crystals per marquee, and now I'm spending less, but I do still have to spend on era materials.
Yes.
If I were in your position, that's the way that I would be looking at it. And I'm not saying your way of looking at it is wrong, but I'm just saying that's how I would frame it in my head.
And and that is a fair way to look at it, but that doesn't take into consideration I need crystals for conquest.
Of course.
I need crystals for data. Like all crystals are great, and
Yes.
look, I will by no means say if you're going to give me free crystals, I will find a way to use that. But crystals just go back into the, and especially
Hmm.
free crystals just go back into the system. Like I'm more concerned about like great. I have 25,000 crystals that I can use to take a one of those marquee characters up to 7 stars. But if I burn through all of those, I'm going to need more crystals now to go into conquest, and not even just to get through conquest very quickly, but like, hey, guess what? The next conquest cycle, the next datacron cycle, we don't have datacrons at dust.
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother issue. Absolutely. And I
So
do want to talk about that too.
yeah, yeah. So I appreciate what you're saying, and it's a fair point. And look, I will concede it's a fair point. It still feels like I'm losing out.
So that I agree with, right? Like I don't think you're losing out, but it feels like you're losing out.
Yeah,
And I think, and I had this conversation with Fat Phil as well today, earlier today. People like to message me around 1 p.m. Stop messaging me around 1 p.m. on a TB week. I am trying to auto my TB battles at 1 p.m. Everybody messages me at 1 p.m. every day during TB week. But I was having the same conversation with him where we were talking about numbers in the game and people quitting versus people coming in. And I was kind of saying, like, it's not CG's problem that something happens until enough people care about it that they're quitting, right? And it
yeah,
comes down to like, even though I personally don't think you're losing out, if people in your position feel like they're losing out, they're less likely to continue
yeah,
playing, and it's still a problem. And it comes back to like the 80s. I think it, and I don't know if I said it on here or on one of my own videos, where the McDonald's has the quarter pounder, and then A&W root beer made a third pounder, and everyone said, I don't
yeah,
want to spend more money for this because it's less than 1/4, which is not true. They just didn't know
yeah,
fractions.
yeah.
People were dumb, but if enough people feel that way, the business suffers. And that is a huge problem right now with eras, is it does not feel good.
And the other piece that I'll add, and this is honestly where my head is right now. I because of the what feels like purposeful efforts to hide details.
Hmm.
The complexity that they've added that looks like that they're hiding what their intention is. I don't trust CG. And
Okay.
I don't I say that very, very like I understand the weight of what I said because I've gone after other people because they throw these phrases out.
Hmm.
I fundamentally don't trust them.
Hmm.
And like if I were to walk into a car dealership and talking to the salesperson and I felt like he was not being honest with me, I would walk out of the car dealership.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the way I want to equate that to. It's not that I can't trust them and screw them and they're out to screw. Like I don't like that. The mentality of like CG thinks we're stupid. Like no, I don't think that's the case. I think that they are employing tactics done by other companies in this industry and in this style of game that
Hmm.
they have historically not done. I feel like they're drifting down that path, and I cannot trust them that they're breaking the trust that I have with them, and I don't know if I want to spend time with them anymore.
Yeah. 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 It's funny because when I do spend time on Reddit outside and I've been dipping my toe into the Swugga waters on Reddit a little bit lately, and
Yeah,
people have joked with me and been like, "Are you like checking up on your ex?" And I'm like, "Yes, I guess I am."
yeah,
But when I go into other subreddits and people ask about like mobile games, I've always in the past said, Swugga is a gotcha game. You're gonna either spend nothing or spend a ton of money. But I've
yeah,
always liked it because I knew what I was spending on. I understood what I was spending on. I wasn't spinning a wheel and doing this whole song and dance to get some character that I didn't understand. And it
yeah,
felt like even if you were a low spender or a casual spender, that you could advance in the game and that you weren't having ads pushed on you constantly.
yeah,
And when you play other games, every time you move a different screen, you have a new screen pop up, and you're like, dude, just
yeah,
stop. I'm overwhelmed. And I always felt like that wasn't what this was. And and yes, I'm starting to see those same dark patterns kind of
yeah.
creep up in this space. Um, and that is frustrating, and it is, a little bit disheartening to me.
Yeah.
This is our
I
moment
I
of
think we've
silence.
drained.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we've drained this. I don't really have anything to say on the transition and legacy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I think the bigger thing there is 14 weeks is if I've done the math correct before everything is free to play
Yeah.
or available on a node. Which
And we still
man, I
don't
hope
know
Mall's not.
when mall is free, right?
I hope it's 16 weeks
Like
because if it's
it's
12 weeks, man, that's crappy. But
I was kind of
I'll give
so
them the benefit of the doubt.
I was saying on Discord today, we talk about the scientific method. And the scientific method is basically you do an experiment and then you do the experiment again, but you change one thing, right?
Yeah,
You don't change everything. And it seems like CG is changing everything, but then you don't know what change worked.
yeah,
Change one thing. The one change that should have happened was Coliseum. And then everything else was the same. Maul in 12 weeks is 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever. But like, it shouldn't have been these characters become farmable so late. Change the one thing. Maul is available in 3 or 4 months, whatever it is. And let's see if that increase. I know they have to make money. I understand they have to make money. Let's see if that works. Let's see if that's the thing. If it doesn't work, then you branch it out,
yeah.
later. But if you change 4 variables, you don't know which one was the effective one and which one was pissing people off, and it just might not work long term. But that's just the pragmatist in me trying to like be reasonable here.
So that's a real interesting point. And I was a couple weeks ago. I was out of town seeing a customer. They're building new hospital
Hmm.
infrastructure, and really, really smart guy, really interesting, and really enjoyed sitting down for dinner and talking about things. And one of the things that he talked about was the mistake of data-driven organizations.
Hmm.
And the point that he made there is that, there's so much of this push towards give me the metrics. And one of the metrics we've talked here is they sold a lot. Like they drove revenue up through this first era. And the problem that you have is that when you don't actually go out and seek actual sentiment from individuals, you miss trends that are happening with the user base. And the example that he gave was they looked at the usage of this is about 5 or 6 years ago. They were looking at the usage of televisions in patient rooms, and it
Okay.
was through the roof. It was through the roof. And to this day, he's like, they're still like use them all the time. And so their assumption was what they were providing on that TV in a patient room was what patients wanted.
Hmm.
The reality is, like, when they actually went out and started talking to patients, found out like, oh, the TV's on all the time because the remote is out of my reach and I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
It's on, but the volume is off. So like it's this case of like we're seeing usage, and usage must means they're getting a lot of that. Like, no, when we talk to people, like, no, it sucks. Like, I'm tired of watching Judge Judy all damn day. I I sent my kid down to the lobby and they bought a tablet, and I'm now just streaming content off of my tablet sitting at the bed from that time. That's what I think has fallen down with CG is that I think that they're looking at a lot of data right now,
Yeah.
and
They're not
I don't
parsing it
think they're
correctly,
they're
appropriately.
listening to the community.
Yeah.
And respectfully, like I appreciate the meathead goes out to the event server, but the developers need to be talking to the community. They
Yeah.
need to be reading what the community is saying, and not the not the content creator videos,
Hmm.
because a lot of that is there's valid things in there, but there's a little bit of frankly the way I've been acting a little bit tonight of spicy to it because that's what gets people to listen.
Hmm.
They need to listen to the actual voices of the players of the game, and I don't think they're doing that.
Okay.
This update to me says they're not listening, and it's not even that they're not listening. They're not putting themselves in a position to hear what anyone is saying. Like it's not that they're not listening; they're not even hearing
They're just
it.
kind
Like
of looking at the
that's
data
my
and
honest
saying
opinion.
it's working, right? Is that
Yes,
what you're
it's
thinking?
working.
But you're
Yes,
not. So if I were to parse this out and say they're looking at the data saying it's working, but they're not asking why is it working, right? And
yes,
if you're not asking why is it working, then you don't understand if it's going to be working long term,
yes,
right? Because I agree with you. Like when I was in the well, I was in the hospital. When my mother was in the hospital and I was going to visit her, we it was whatever was on, and it was probably Judge
yeah,
Judy or like Jerry
yeah,
Springer, and I was watching it because it was just on. I didn't know where the remote
yeah,
was. She was sleeping. It's on. I don't
yeah.
want to disturb her. It's just there. I didn't care for it. It's just that's what was on. And I think that that's kind of what you're getting at is like why
Yes,
what is driving all of these changes right now, and they're only looking at the data. They're not really understanding the data. Whereas you do
yeah,
have some content creators who are looking at the data and they're editorializing it in a way that isn't actually accurate, and that has been very frustrating to me. So it's kind of both sides of that. So I kind of understand that point entirely. Now, for this episode, we had talking about Andor, we had talking about the kits, we had talking about Datacrons. We spent so much time on
yeah.
Coliseum, and I think it's fair. I think it's
It
so
is.
fair because I had so many thoughts yesterday. Mike, I have two questions to you that I think kind of finish this up. The first question is,
Yeah.
if you were to talk about your um on a scale of 1 to 10 of Coliseum and the eras before yesterday. Where were you before yesterday?
I it was a honestly, I'll say it was a I don't want to give it a 1 to 10 scale because I don't think that that's a reference because it would be a low number, but that implies that I wasn't happy with it. Um,
Give me
I'm
whatever scale you feel you're comfortable with, because I
yeah,
do have a follow up question to it.
yeah. it was a non-factor.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing is that they dumped all of this time, money, and energy into this game mode, and my goal was to interact with it as little as possible.
Hmm.
You know, that's that to me, that's the crazy part is that I hit one auto battle a day in Conquest to
Okay.
achieve my
In
dailies
Coliseum,
of
yeah.
New Dawn. Or in Coliseum, excuse me. Like it to actually here's the best description of it. Coliseum, the closest analogy that I have to it in the game right now is Galactic War.
Yeah.
Like that's how I view it. It's Galactic War.
Hmm.
That's not where they want to be.
Yeah. I agree. And again, I've talked about like RNG and I'm like frustrated and I know you only do one battle. I kind of hate because there's so much RNG in it. My thought has been, listen, give me my 5 battles, but refresh one battle every hour. So that if I
Yeah.
want to play it more, I have the opportunity to play it more without being penny pinched. But your scale is, hey, it's a non-factor. It's like I just do it to
Yeah.
get it over with. For me, and I said this yesterday, I was about a 3 out of 10 on this Coliseum.
Yeah.
Where do you feel right now after Era of Andor and the information that we have right now?
I don't think it's made a material change at all
Okay.
to the game mode.
Okay.
I it it didn't address my concerns with the forced spend or
Hmm.
the actually let me rephrase that, the additional spend, and I think it's done nothing to address the leaderboard aspect that is purely tied to a pay to win format.
Okay. Okay. I'm just curious
That's it.
because
Yeah.
for me, I was at about a 3 out of 10, and I'd say I'm like a 4.5 out of 10 now. Because there were positive changes and then just non-changes, right? Positive changes,
Yeah.
and there was nothing worse. Just things that I hoped would be better were not better.
Yeah.
I was really hoping after yesterday to be at a 7 out of 10. I was really hoping to feel like positive going into the Era of Andor. Somebody said this on Discord today. I really felt strongly about it that yesterday's update, not update, information dump was just a lot of non-information.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got kits, and everyone's excited because Andor. We all love Andor. It's a great Star Wars story. Andor, 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 Andor. Great. It's awesome. Andor, wonderful. But there wasn't really any information, and it really did frustrated me. And people were like flipping out, like, "Oh my god, my favorite new characters! I can't wait to whale." And I was like, I nothing. I was so hopeful that we were going to get all of these changes in the second era, and I just feel so frustrated that the changes have been so minimal.
So I'll I'll have two comments on the gameplay aspect of it. I loved Andor as a show.
Yep,
I could not tell you the name of any of the characters.
I
Like to
couldn't.
me, like it was the backdrop was the war, and it was the setting. But there was Andor, and there was Luthen, and then there was a bunch of people, and I'm not going to use the words that I used to describe
And there were
the two
spiders.
women that were on. Yeah, yes, but you know the two women that were on the assault squad in season one, because they're very non PC ways that I describe them, and I won't do it here because I'll just be an asshole. Uh, but so like the Andor characters don't really ring a bell for me.
Yeah.
Um, and look, I started out in this section, and I'll say right here, if they would have came in and said, "We heard you about the Journey Guide characters, and this is how we're going to remove that cost," 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been an 8 for me because that has been the most consistent complaint that I have seen from the communities that I run in is that
Hmm.
I feel like I'm being forced to spend more money.
Yeah. To get the same thing. And they
Of
and
the
again, like we kind of said earlier, it's not that they said, "Hey, the price has increased." They said the price hasn't increased, but you have to spend on these 10 other things
yeah, yeah.
to kind of like trick you into it.
I of the of the day one unlock guys like me in old dirty blasters, I think it's fair to say half of them will not be moving forward.
Yeah.
That half of them have said this is not a great use of my time and energy.
Yeah. And that's frustrating. That's
Yeah, but
incredibly frustrating. Yeah.
it's not frustrating. Like, it's the reality of, like, this is what, like, people are saying the only way that CG will understand what this impact is by people speaking with their wallets. Like,
Of
half
course.
of the, and again, it's a very small sample, but half of those people will not be speaking with their wallet.
Mhm. I think it's an interesting dynamic, and I feel like if we get into it right now, we'll be here for another 45 minutes. But I was saying this a few days ago, like there's a very real veteran fatigue right now, right? There's a ton of new whales coming in because they feel validated. They're going, wait a second, I can spend and I can do better, and it's great for them. But there's a lot of players who've been spending for 10 years, and you kind of said it to me earlier, where the game you're playing now is a totally different game. And those players are going, wait, I spent 7 years learning this, and
Yeah,
now it's totally flipped, and now I don't really understand it. And I am a boomer playing with a bunch of Gen Z,
yeah,
and not like just in terms of generational technology wise, and I don't care anymore. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
spend is too much, and I don't want to learn all this new stuff, and it's confusing. And I'm spending more money than I really want to, and more money than I was before, and in weirder ways than I was before, and on
yeah.
stranger porn than I was before. And then you go, I'm not into this anymore. I get it.
So I was going to say it differently. When I was in Chicago 2 weeks ago, and the guy was driving me from the hotel to the airport at like -7 degrees in a Tesla, and he was explaining, how he goes about getting the best price to to
Hmm.
to recharge his batteries. And that's analogous to, like, me in my 20s going to figure out the best price that I would put gas in my car. But I'm just
Yep.
like, man, this sounds overly complex. I'm just gonna go get a big old oil or gas burning car because I don't want to have to learn the new way to fill up my car.
To figure it out.
Like, it's that same piece. Like, it's still, there's still a cost associated with it. It's still relatively the same, but, like, no, man, this is learning, and I'm tired of learning.
I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah,
This is
I'm
some
just old,
lethal
man.
weapon crap right now. I understand that. I
Yeah,
very, very, very much understand that. With that said, again, we know there's new Datacrons coming out. We could spend 45 minutes talking about a
yeah,
rehashed set. We could spend time
yeah,
talking about the fact that because of their new Datacron cadence, there is no dusting, which means you have to start this set from ground zero right now. We could talk about the characters in the Andor set. They're complicated. They're interesting. There's cool ones. There's not as cool ones. The droid has a sick, like, table throw animation, which
yeah.
looks really nice. Great. We can talk about that in the future. I do think it is smart to kind of stop here because this criticism is important. And I've heard that there has been a lot of videos out today that were very filled, kind of like Maul, hate fueled. Um, and antagonistic, and I didn't watch any of them, so I don't know how true that is. And I think it's important to just set a standard of criticism that is
Yeah.
thoughtful, and meaningful from two players who I think we've proven even pre Zeta Protocol with you and Sarah and myself and my own thing that we care about this game and we want it to succeed, and we're just not happy with the state it's in right now.
Yeah. You can be critical, you can't be cruel, and I think that we've historically shown that, and I think that that's what, maybe some spicy language today, but I think, I don't think we were cruel,
Yeah.
and that's what I'll hang my hat on.
All right. So this, guys, has been Zeta Protocol. We're right around our normal stopping time. Um, with that said, peace out. Have a great rest of your night.